Hey everybody, welcome back to Market Talk Part 2. Today we have Joe Valente and Robert Schneider on the call. Joe is a real estate attorney, and Robert is a mortgage loan officer. And we're going to kind of give you an update on what's going on in the market. But first, I want them to do an introduction of who they are and what they got going on. Joe, can you go first?
Sure. So, as Jay said, Joe Valente, partner with Tabachuk Law. I've been doing real estate law for about 13 years now, and seen a lot of different trends. We'll talk about the current state of the market, as Jay said. But yeah, I've solely been practicing real estate law for since the beginning.
Beginning of time.
Beginning of time. Right.
Bob.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Bob, the broker. I am a mortgage advisor, about 18 years in the business. I do both residential and commercial, but we're going to focus on the residential today. It is definitely an interesting market, and I look forward to talking about what's going on for 2023.
Great. So 2023 is underway, and what are we seeing? So, give you my perspective as a real estate agent. What I'm seeing is obviously inventory is down, interest rates have gone up, which have slowed buyers down and paused them a little bit. But I'm going to be honest with you, in 2023, what I do see and what I think I think is happening is that some of the panic has kind of settled a little bit. The hysteria around the mortgage rates, because one, people are still buying. Obviously I talked to a lot of agents in the industry. Excuse me, everybody. I'm dealing with a little cough here, but the show must go on. But we're still seeing multiple offer situations. I just was on a call the other day with one of the agents, and property went 60,000 over asking, 10 offers.
Wow.
So depending on obviously area, condition, and price point, you can still have a successful transaction as a seller. So we also obviously we see inventories extremely low. We see the panic kind of subsiding in the market of buyers, and and I'm sure, Bob, you'll talk about this, that there are, there's options out there, and some people are getting creative when purchasing properties now. But you want to kind of give us a little your perspective on the mortgage and some options out there right now and what buyers are doing.
Sure. I will also start by saying, just to add on to what you're saying, is that, you can't always listen to what's going on in the media right now, because the media is talking nationally, and we are just an anomaly up here in the Northeast. Things are very different. You know what? The markets here are still strong. I mean, if you look at the media and what their articles are saying, right? The articles are all talking about how the downturn of the markets, the real estate industry. But I'm still, even if it's not 10 offers, every house has a couple, 2, 3 offers on it. And I've had plenty of clients being outbid, and I still getting tons of people coming out of the woodworks that want to buy.
Yep.
Right. So being pre-approved, people who've been pre-approved over the last 2 years who sat on the sidelines for a little bit because they got tired of looking, they're coming back out. So I think this is going to be a strong year in New Jersey, and probably the whole Northeast, but I do New Jersey, right?
I would agree with that. Joe, what are you kind of seeing on the transaction side in the back end? I think pendings are probably obviously down because of the season. I think it's a combination of the season and everything happening. But what are you hearing on your end?
Yeah, so as we've touched upon, there's a few different things going on. I think the main factor at this point, the mortgage stuff has subsided a little bit. The uneasiness about it, people are getting a little more comfortable with it. That's kind of how people are reactive in the beginning, and then it kind of hangs out. Once it stabilizes a little bit, people become a little more secure. But the big problem is inventory. It's definitely an inventory problem. Sellers may not have somewhere to go. The only people really putting their houses on the market with low inventory are people that are going out of state, or maybe some other things that are going on in their lives where they're downgrading maybe to a condo if they're older, into a townhouse or a condo situation. But your traditional family that's looking to sell their house and get into another house in New Jersey, that's kind of the problem with the low inventory. I think it's also important that potential buyers get the right people in their ears. Like you said, the news, you follow the news, it's misleading, especially for our area.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of things are still strong in the New York, New Jersey areas. I think ultimately what buyers can avoid at this point in time, as opposed to a couple of years ago, is those bidding wars where they're paying, 50 or 100K or even more at times for the house. So you got to focus on the things that are good. And at the end of the day, Bob can, give a little more info on this. But it's what's your monthly payment? Like when you work all the numbers, right? I mean, if you're paying less for the same house today than you were 2 years ago, if your interest rate's a little higher, at the end of the day, is it that important if your monthly payment's kind of where it was 2 years ago? So it's just getting
exactly
the right people in your ear. I feel like a lot of people are getting family members or those around them that are just saying, "Oh, are you? It's not a good time to buy. Don't buy now." And a lot of buyers are getting dissuaded for that.
Yeah.
That's a big question we're having right now. Is people call, is this a good time to buy? And my response is, if you're ready to buy something or you want to move into a different house, it's always a good time to buy. What are you waiting for? If you're waiting for lower rates, then rates have come down some. Make sure you're in a comfortable payment, like you said, Joe. And we expect rates to come down over the next year to 2 years at some point, and then you refinance. So you'll have more equity because we don't expect values to drop. So why wait? The only reason to wait is if you can't afford the payments, and then that's a great reason. That's a great reason to wait.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you, Bob. The reason why you should wait is because of personal reasons, not because of industry reasons.
Right.
And the thing is too is like, we are seeing some price reductions on some of the listings out there right now, and maybe that's a 1% price reduction, give or take. And the only reason that is that maybe some sellers were still reaching a little bit, thinking that it was the same market about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
What this, what this has done is obviously it stabilized prices a little bit, but it still hasn't changed demand. What we also were seeing is that pendings are down from, this time, 6 months ago. Pendings are down, but pendings, in my opinion, pendings aren't down because we don't have buyers. The pendings are down because of inventory. So, and that's the thing is also is that people will say, maybe it's not a good time to buy or something like that. But, when interest rates do start to tick down a little bit more, I mean, houses aren't going to just appear, a huge inventory or influx of houses aren't just going to appear overnight. So the demand is still going to be an issue, even when home prices drop down. Interest rates drop down. So if you financially can do it now, it might be a strategic move to make a move now, right? Instead of when interest rates start ticking down, and then we could see that 1% price increase on some of the properties coming back again on multiple offer situations. So, Bob, you mentioned that, the Northeast and where we are is obviously a very unique market, and each town is a unique, it's its own animal on itself. So it's really making sure that you team up with a professional and you look at all the variables that go into the equation of you making a move and weigh everything out. And strategic, obviously nobody can predict the future, but it's about strategically placing yourself in the best position possible with the information that you have at hand at that current time. And in my opinion, unless something drastic happens, I don't see our market completely, the floor falling out. I don't see it right now.
I don't either. I mean, there's so many buyers that the age group of first-time home buyers is huge. There's a ton of population in that mid-30s who are looking to buy. So that's part of the inventory problem. And then the phone calls we're fielding on, should I stay or should I go? People are worried about selling because where are they going to go? So sometimes we try to see if they would qualify on on a purchase first, but a lot of people don't qualify to. You have to qualify on both homes. So then the question is, all right, so what if I sell and I can't find anything, and that scares people.
Yeah, it's a tough. I mean, obviously nothing is guaranteed. Everything is a calculated risk. But if you do have that second home somewhere and you're ready to, scoot out of Jersey or go somewhere else, and it's definitely a good time to sell and make a move, because something good is price, good location, in good condition. I mean, it's gone. People are going to jump all over that.
Yeah, what is the average, or roughly the average length of time on market these days? Is it pretty low? I'm sure, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, a couple agents I talked to, 60,000 over asking. That was within, a week. We went on in, under contract, 60,000 over 10. They had 12, they had 12 offers. And to be honest with you, probably like 6 months ago, it probably would have been 30 offers. You know what I mean? But 12 and 60K over asking is still it's still very nice, So, but yeah, like and also in some pockets in New Jersey, yeah, if it's overpriced and not done properly, yeah, it's going to sit. You'll see price reductions. I mean, that's honestly in any market. If something is way out of reach, buyers are very smart these days. They'll just sit there and watch, because they know, especially if they're teamed up with a good agent, they'll know. They'll just, hey, let's keep an eye on this, and we know that they're reaching, and we'll kind of see what happens and go from there. So, anything else you guys would like to add?
I'd like to throw you guys. We're talking about how more and more these days there are seller concessions and seller credits we're seeing on purchases. What are your thoughts? Is that just the way it's going to be from now on? Every deal is going to have a seller credit. Is that the buyer mentality? I'll overpay, or I'll pay, not overpay, but I'll pay, over asking. In turn, I'm going to ask for seller credits. What do you think?
Yeah,
I think every market warrants creativity on a purchase, right? We came from, hey, I'm going to waive home inspection. I'm going to waive appraisal. And if it under appraises, I'm going to give you X amount of money, right? Like that was that environment about six months ago, or a couple months ago. And now it's the evolution of the creative buyer, right? Like I have nothing, seller concessions or seller credits. I mean, basically the buyer just wants to finance, keep more money in their pocket and finance more stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. I always say keep as much money in your pocket as possible.
Me too.
So, who knows? I mean, who really knows how, what other creative way to finance a purchase is going to, come out of it. But it's forever changing. And I mean, 2 months from now, something else clever can be, developed. So
yeah, I think to touch upon that, I think it's just the general nature of the consumer, right? You could talk about real estate, or you could talk about any type of consumption. The buyer wants to feel like they're getting something. So when the interest rates were really low and they were getting that house, they were willing to overpay for it. They had in their mind they were getting this really low interest rate, and they could stomach, waiving a bunch of inspections. Right now, the interest rates are a little bit higher, and they want to feel like they're getting something in return for that. So I think it's less about the actual dynamic of what's happening, and more about just like the nature of the consumer at the end of the day, feeling satisfied that they got something.
Getting a deal. Yep.
I agree with that. I 100%, like just feeling like you're not, being taken advantage. Like you got something. I get it. Right.
So now as we move from like a more seller market into more of a neutral market, or maybe even a buyer's market, yes, you're going to see the pendulum of credit swing towards the buyer a little bit. Whereas the seller, and before, was like, I got 25 other buyers in tow, move along. Right. So,
yeah. Right. What can you give me? Right. Like, you're going to paint the house before we close, Yeah. So
it's like Jay said, it's the evolution of the real estate transaction. We're in and out of different phases so quickly. Right. So,
yeah. And then, and as as we are obviously professionals in our market, is like keeping up with those new like trends or strategies and being like, okay, you really want this house? This is what everyone's kind of doing right now. This is how it's this is what's going to give you the best shot to have an opportunity to get the house that you want. So yeah, being up to date on the evolution of offers and how they're packaged, and especially in competitive markets, it's extremely important that the agent knows that when you're going up against so many offers and it's competitive, is that when you submit that offer, it is dialed in, right? Like, you make it extremely easy for the listing agent to find all the information. So when they're filtering through 30 plus offers, everything is there, right? Everything is outlined. I want to make it as easy as possible for that for that listing agent, because one, I want to show that my client has everything together and they're going to, they're professionally going to move forward. And then it's going to be I'm displaying that it's going to be an easier transaction, especially in the communication field. Like, hey, we're an open book. Here's everything laid out. There's nothing hiding. You don't have to worry about anything. Here's the situation. So preparing offers is extremely important as well. And then Bob will come in and talk to the listing agent as well to kind of verify that, hey, this buyer is solid. So
yeah, everyone wants to know that the pre-approval was done completely and thoroughly, right? I mean, that's huge. So, comfort that the buyer is not going to have any issues getting their mortgage.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Anything else, gentlemen?
I think, you touched on something a couple of minutes ago. With each different market, there's different strategies that need to be involved within the transaction, right? Like when things are moving so fast and whatever, and there's a million deals flying around, you don't necessarily, or let me say it this way, as of now, as we see a little bit of a downturn, you have to be more precise in everything you do. Like you said, you have to get the right people around you. You have to present things, like you said in the offer, so that there's no questions asked. You give a lot of confidence to the other side. And even so, as the transaction moves along on Bob's end of things, you got to make sure, the mortgage is moving along. There's the information sharing between the parties on the transaction is good. There's open lines of communication. Like, now, this is more important than ever, to get those things shored up. So get a good team around you. If you're a buyer, surround yourselves with the right people, good real estate agents like Jay, good mortgage brokers like Bob, and have people that can work good together to get your transaction as smooth as possible, to get that offer accepted by the seller if there is competition.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. I mean, there's been numerous times where, all three of us will speak at different times and be like, hey, here's the situation. Obviously we're dealing with a very volatile transaction. You have human beings involved and a lot of emotions. So a lot of things can pop up. So, there's times when we'll talk and be like, hey, here's a situation. What do you think the best way to perceive is? Because, it's better to have a collective of, hey, what do you see? How can we get, everything settled and move forward and get the outcome for our clients? So, no, I agree. Communication is huge, and making sure that everyone's on the same page. So, great. Well, gentlemen, I think that's it. I don't want to hold up too much of your time, and if I know that if we make this too long, nobody will watch to the end. So
that's the truth. You got to the truth. There you go.
Yeah. So I apologize for my voice, cough, getting over a little cold, but I want to thank both of you guys for coming on. And if anyone has any questions, please reach out to any of us. We're happy to answer any additional questions. Joe and Bob's contact information will be in the post, and we look forward to doing again this market talk number 3 next month. But thank you everybody for your time, and like I said, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Take care.
Thanks, Dan. Good luck everyone out there.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.